Pitch to Pro is the official podcast of USL Arkansas. This will be our platform to tell our story about the club and the special place that we call home, Northwest Arkansas. This is a journey. We want to bring you along for the ride. We'll share what's going on behind the curtain, help educate the community at large about soccer, our league, and give updates on the progress of the club along the way. Together, we'll explore and unpack our journey to professional soccer, the magic that is NWA, our community, and talk all things soccer from on the pitch to behind the scenes, telling the story of our club. Pitch to Pro podcast is proudly sponsored by podcastvideos.com. Podcastvideos.com is Northwest Arkansas's premier podcast recording studio. Equipped with industry-leading equipment, the recording studio and services save you time, money, and hassle. They are dedicated to helping you create, record, and publish high-quality podcasts for your audience. Be sure to check them out today at podcastvideos.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pitch to Pro podcast. I'm your host, Wes Harris, Managing Director for USL Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas's professional soccer club playing in the USL, or the United Soccer League. Today, I am so excited to have joining me some good friends and co-owners of one of the coolest new spots in town, the International Sports Pub, the Botanical at 8th and A. I've got Mr. Alan Gooding and Mr. Alex Thaley here. Gents, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so glad to have you guys, and we're going to have a great discussion today.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, excited to be here, man. You get to talk on two favorite things, the pub and football.
Hey, you can't go wrong with that, right? It's always going to be a good day or a good session. Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, you guys, for those in the audience that don't know, I met these gents playing, adult rec soccer. Yes, I still play when the injuries aren't, insurmountable, which is becoming less frequent nowadays. But got introduced to these guys a couple years ago and just have kind of become good friends, and so happy to see you guys doing the project there at the Botanical. And I may frequent there too much, but that's okay. Alan, and you're obviously, if folks can't tell from the accent, yes, he is from England. And Alex, just being well-traveled, one of the things I'd love to talk to you guys, just to open things up a little bit, is your experience around soccer culture or footy culture, whatever you want to call it, around the world and in places that you've been and experienced, and differences between, there and here, being residents of NWA now for multiple years yourselves. Just kind of kick us off from there and start getting us going there.
Why don't you start, Alan?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So England is the stereotype of football, soccer. I'll keep changing the words as I've been here 11 years, but you kind of get initiated into whatever team the family's been following, or the friends around you have been following. So I went to my first game before I can even remember, 3-4 years old. Sheffield Wednesday's my team. Older generation will remember people like John Harkes that played for us, and we had a few other testimonials and stuff in the US. But
shout out Harksey.
Shout out to Harksey. Scored one of the greatest goals ever in 91. But growing up with that, it's and it's in the north of England. The passion's there right the way throughout, I would say, especially if you're familiar with like West Ham, Millwall rivalries and stuff. But when you've got Liverpool, Everton, Manchester, both clubs up in the north. You got Northeast with Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough. You've got Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, and everything around that north. It's almost a way of life. People live for the weekend.
Yeah.
People just have their mood and almost their entire week spoiled or made by how the results have gone, especially if they've played each other. How the day-to-day work's going to go. It's crazy. And even just I've lived up and down England, lived in China for a little while, been in the US 11 years. But one of the biggest differences you get, I think, between European football, soccer, and especially North America, I know South America replicates it, but it's kind of the difference between kind of passion and passion/rivalry. I think in the US you have rivalries, of course. There's I'm not super familiar with it, but you might have a Razorbacks versus a Louisiana team or something like that, or A&M when they go down to the stadium, but the fans still mix together beforehand. They sit together, they banter, but it's not aggressive. Whereas soccer in South America and Europe is segregation, police enforced, a lot of anger, a lot of trouble before and after the games, a lot of that excitement boiling over. And I think that's one of the fundamental differences, because Americans have sport as a passion and as an enjoyment, but as more of a a rivalry for conversation and for the community, whereas I think in England it is much more of a way of life, and it almost goes into over the topness, I know, but it goes more into like a passion that can be hatred, or it can be aggression or frustration or whatever it is, and I'd say that's one of the biggest differences. It's passion, but it's just in different ways.
Okay. Alex, what do you see? You're a very well-traveled man.
Yeah.
And you've been to matches all over the world, pubs all over the world. Kind of now you're a pub owner and operator. What do you kind of see in different places that crop up that are different than here? Or
I'm a newer soccer fan, so in the last 7, probably 8 years. So I've traveled all over the world, and I've enjoyed soccer. I used to train when I lived over in Micronesia. My family's from Yap, Micronesia, a little island, 450 miles southwest of Guam. So I trained with the national team there, which the state team, it doesn't really mean much. It was just a bunch of dudes running around.
I didn't know I was playing with a national team squad member.
I mean, let's just say when they were timing the 40 yards, they just kind of stopped and laughed a little bit. But we had a lot of fun, and that was the first time I started.
The tracksuit didn't help you? Sorry, I had to.
I think that's a newer addition, and I'm sure it does help. I didn't know if you just put on
just like the shoes when you're little that make you go faster. Yeah.
My shoes light up now too, so that probably adds a little bit. So growing up though, I was a chunky kid. I did not think it was cool to run. So I was not into, and then, growing up I grew up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So
the UP?
Yeah. So we snowboarded. We did things like where you just kind of rode the momentum and you didn't have to run the momentum.
Yeah.
But I always appreciated soccer. Like I knew it was the world sport.
Yeah.
Just didn't have a lot of exposure to it. Then overseas, like I said, I did play a little bit. That's when I started to enjoy it, and the actual like physicality of it, and the tactics and the strategy. And that got me really excited. It wasn't until so Alan and I, we go back about 10 years now.
Yeah.
We're both consultants for a UK firm and working here. And Alan and I, became friends and started hanging out. So about 8 years ago, I adopted Sheffield Wednesday as my team because I didn't have a team.
Apologies.
Yeah.
Could have done so much better. Just kidding.
I always joke around because I'm from Michigan, so I'm a Detroit Lions fan, and a heart can only take so much.
Yeah.
And we got promoted this last year.
We did, in the best way possible.
And now I'm feeling like well, that was switched. The Lions are doing all right. But anyways, not to American football, But to Alan's point about like the passion that goes into it, I had not really seen. I mean, I knew I've been in pubs where people are passionate, but to actually have like my closest friend, so passionate where, like you said, it can like ruin your day or week.
Yeah.
Totally. So I'd go as a friend, support them. We'd go to the pub. We'd go and watch those games.
Support friend.
And we've always been looking for a reason to go to the pub and finish up our work early and watch a game. Oh man, if they won, it's the highest of highs.
Yeah.
And if you lose, you just buy the next round, and then you're like, hey, tell me what you need to say.
Clear my schedule for the next 2 hours.
We lost the playoff 2 years ago to Sunderland. And I still remember Alex. It was about 4 p.m. when the game finished, and we lost right at the end of extra time. And Alex just went to my partner and he was like, just give him time. Just give him time. Just give him the rest of the day.
You may need the rest of the week
on
that one.
About it, that I was like, he's not going to process this like an Arkansas loss or something, feels this deep.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do love that part about it. And I like kind of the balance of that we can bring to this community.
Yeah.
That passion, maybe, it's not going to upset someone's whole week, but to bring that passion into the stadium and have the fans that care about it as much, or it's like part of their life.
Yeah.
Where everyone's either season ticket holders or they're going to their pub to watch it. Maybe our pub, maybe Rendezvous is a great place to watch the games as well. And have that community, but have that like shared sense of either success or loss is awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm excited that we were able to, I guess over the last 8 years, it's always been a struggle trying to find some place to watch the game, kind of steering it back to our livelihood.
Yeah.
Because and we get it from a lot of people too. We're like, where's a good place to watch the game? For years we've been wondering. Some of the times he'd take his laptop into the pub and we'd just have it pulled up, or maybe someplace would show it, but they would wouldn't have audio, or it takes 20 minutes to find it on the
especially for Wednesday and any team or any other team that's not in the Premier League or La Liga or anything.
Yeah,
I mean, heck, even La Liga in the US is hard to find.
Yeah, because Wednesday gets 40,000 attendance over there, and in a country that's got over 100 professional teams, so it's well supported. And I know 8 or 9 Wednesday fans here, but yeah, it's internet only is the only place you're going to find the games.
Yeah,
so it's tricky to find them. And then to find it open at 8, 9 in the morning on a Saturday, where there's going to be other people to make it worth the trip, plus where you can have a beer if it's a nerve-wracking game, that's tough. And the size, Bentonville's awesome, but it's only so big, right? So if we were in New York or Chicago, we could find it, but not in Bentonville, sadly. Not until the Botanical.
Yeah, so we made it, and
I couldn't find it, so we built it.
Yeah, we wanted to. We've been talking for years about just pub culture and how it's such an important part of the community, and you have so many memories and friendships formed there. And as an adult, it's a great thing. If you choose to have that in your life, it's a great place to have a kind of a hub. And if you're into sports and the sport is passionate and strongly followed as football, then you want them together. So yeah, we didn't have one, so we'd been talking about one for a while, so we built it. So we built a international pub mixed with greenhouse aesthetic. We just call it like a pretty pub. So there's lots of flowers.
If you haven't been there, it's a very pretty pub.
Yeah, so we've got for downtown Bentonville standards, I think we probably have the biggest TVs. We've got 475-inch and 185-inch TV that have the games on.
Yep.
We play the audio on the big games, and it's just it's a great turnout. We've had great support from the community. I think a couple Saturdays ago we opened up, I think, for 8:30 game. I forget which match it was, but
I think it was mine.
Spurs Liverpool.
Yeah,
it was that super dramatic one where they went down to 9 men.
Where I may have
scored with the last kick.
Where I may have walked out of the pub. Luckily, I paid my tab. I had my tab. I did not dine and dash. Just to be clear.
Yeah. No, I actually heard they're like, Wes, he just got up, pushed in his seat, and walked out the door.
I certainly did. We won't discuss that game. That took me that did take me about a week to get over.
So you've got that passion.
May still not be over it, but that's okay.
Yeah. But to that point, just to wrap up that point though, we've had like that day, and then these weekend days, which you would think a bar that opens at 9 a.m. on Saturday, Sunday would have people. We have 30, 35, 40 people out there.
Yeah.
Watching a game. Yeah. Wearing their jerseys, cheering for one of the teams that's on the TVs, and it's a lot of fun for someone that's on the business side. I like to see the business, but it's even all of our staff who's never worked in a soccer bar. They're like, we love this. Like, we love the energy that everyone brings. Like, if you're going to be in a working environment and you have just people getting excited, it's sometimes very disappointed.
Right.
But when there's that much passion involved, it makes your shifts go easier.
Yeah.
It makes it just more fun to be there. So yeah, we're enjoying it, and our staff's enjoying it.
Yeah, that's great. So keep going on that. So tell people a little bit more about kind of how the Botanical got started, and what you guys kind of are. Talk about where you're located. I know it's in your name, but tell people a little bit more about the pub and kind of what you guys are doing and kind of the vision and long-term goals for the place.
Yeah, so I like Alex going to the long-term stuff, and he's kind of covered where we came from a little bit, but some of it it sounds like we're joking, it was out of wanting to create something we wanted to go to. We wanted to be able to watch the football, we wanted to look nice. We had the lofty ambition of let's make a sports pub that would be great for families and date night and still feel like posh for events that people could, go to after work, maybe for stuff and things. And the feedback is that we've got it pretty close. So that's awesome.
That's a tough dynamic to try to nail down too.
Yeah, and also a nice big patio out the back. And we're going to try and make that season round as well. So we wrote down everything we wanted a pub to be, got a bit of inspiration from pubs that we really loved. Mm-hmm. And then it sounds like a bit of a soppy tagline, but a place for everyone. And there's so many great bars around Bentonville and some really good craft ale, but most of them do the same beers. So we were like, well, if we're going to do something international, we're going to do something different. Let's try and get a big variety on the menu as well. So we've still got some of the most popular beers around, like Homewrecker, but I would say about 80-85% of our menu is imported or from overseas. There's a lot of British beers, a lot of other European beers. We've got some really popular German ones. We've got South African wines. We've got drinks from just about all over the place, which is great. And we've only been open a few months, but most of them are selling really well. Mm-hmm. Guinness is always a staple. That seems to be the biggest thing on a Saturday, Sunday morning, because it goes, I guess, as a combination of breakfast and drink at the same time. But we're just trying to be a place that...
2 for 1, yeah.
anyone can go to for anything. If they want to watch a game, they're going to know that we're the spot to do it. If they want to go for date night, they just want to relax after work, they want somewhere to hang out maybe and just drink one beer while they're reading a book and something. It's just kind of a nice atmosphere. And I think you feel that more maybe in the evenings when we lower the lights and it's kind of got that mood thing going on, and
your patio,
plenty of events there, and the patio's got
patio's really nice.
So, yeah, we just wanted to get it right, and we wanted to make it a place that, regardless of why the reason you'd go out and get a drink, that we'd be it. And yeah, I think we got pretty close.
You guys also have, I'm like, thank you. You can thank me later for the advertising, but you guys also have one of, you said if that's your jam earlier, if it's not your jam, it's still a fun place to go because you guys have one of the largest mocktail menus around in the area. So you guys have something for just about everybody.
Yeah, we kind of highlighted a few like USPs, some niches that were kind of wide open. And the mocktail is the largest, the fastest growing sector in our industry. We've got 7 on the menu right now. We're not doubling it, but we've got about 12 on the new menu that's coming out next week.
Exciting.
And then we've got a whole cooler of just non-alcoholic sodas, some custom sodas from Colorado. So you can send, if you're with your kids or someone that just doesn't drink, they can go and just pick something out of there and we'll ring it up. Or you can look on our mocktail menu and there's a lot of good options there.
That's awesome. So what has been, I'll ask both of you for kind of your biggest surprise and biggest lesson learned so far in your journey. And it can be construction related, but I'd like it to be more kind of once operational, because I'm sure that could just be a whole different rabbit hole.
How many tangents are we allowed
on permitting and all that fun stuff? Because I know that was a fun process.
Yeah, I would say the city has been nice to work with. You hear mixed things, but we had a good experience with the city. Even dealing with the state, there's opening any kind of like alcohol related business in Arkansas is still very tricky.
Yep.
That's why we just have our beer and wine license. We're doing well with that. So we might do our liquor license someday, but there's just so many layers of permits and separate hoops you have to jump through. But that said, dealing with the state, it has been better, slower than expected, but overall better interactions. So, yeah, that's all I'll say about that side of it, I guess.
That's all I have to say about that.
I'd say, I don't know if it's a lesson learned, but it's something that we double down on, and boy, it's worked out, is don't worry about getting experienced bartenders and skills, just get good people that are going to care, that are going to work hard, but in the right ways. That if they see a dirty table, but they're behind the bar, they're going to go over there and just quickly wipe the table. They're going to help guests out if they come in with maybe a younger one, or they need some extra assistance or whatever. And the staff are you can tell they're happy and they really enjoy it. I hope they're happy, but they're definitely kick-ass staff. Like, they are awesome, and they're picking up all the skills. They're now great bartenders, but before they were just awesome people. Because we just like being around, and we're like, let's just base the hiring around that, people that we like and we want to be around every day, and hopefully the customers will feel that, and the feedback is they are.
Yeah, you can train someone to pour a beer. You can't train one to be friendly.
Isn't it wild how that works? And it seems to be almost ubiquitous across any industry.
Yeah.
You can hire good people and teach them skills, but you can't teach somebody to be a good person.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And you hear that consistently, and it's something that, I've tried to live into in whenever I have a role to fill. And, obviously there's a certain level of kind of, minimum level of requirement in terms of, do you have the capacity to understand this and grow and get there? But are you a good human first? And are you coachable? Are you willing to learn? Are you intellectually curious? All those kind of intangibles that are so much more difficult to hire for and teach than, being able to teach somebody a hard skill. But anyway, I cut you off. But
no, that's perfect.
It's wild how that just translates, right? Like all three of us have come from, a little bit more corporate careers than kind of industries that we're in now or talking about now. But I think so much of this is transferable over. And anyway.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to build the place that we wanted to be. I knew I would be there hours a day, for the foreseeable future. So I wanted a place that had a lot of plants, because I like plants that make me happy and they make other people happy. I wanted to be a place with a lot of natural sunlight.
Vitamin D.
Lessons, yeah.
Scientifically proven.
I was going to say, that's the reason why we spend extra money for all the solar lighting. We don't spend any money during the day. The whole the inside's all controlled by the sun. So during the day, we've got solar tubes that shoot light into the building, full spectrum UV for the almost 200 plants in the main area. And then when the sun goes down, the main room just naturally gets darker, and then we put out some low lighting. That way our bartenders, myself, we all stay in sync like with the rhythms of the world and don't turn into like those zombie vampire bartenders that are just totally out of sync.
Yeah.
Have more health problems than
Exactly.
caused by the working environment. So we're trying to be, I would say we were very deliberate about that. So
Your circadian rhythm.
our circadian
is, see?
Yeah.
To know
I've got another lesson learned that's going to make me sound like an old man.
I like
Because the first one was positive. This one's one. Like, I used to work at pubs in England, and it's Sky Sports in England, right? DirecTV and Cox, etc. here. And it was super easy. If football's on, it was what channel. And now, because everything's online and everything streams, when you look at the commercial licenses for that, we've got like 9 different licenses for different stuff to get every sport. Because we do have every sport. We've got the soccer, the rugby, the cricket, and, some of the international things like athletics and cycling. But then we've also got NFL and NBA and all that. And when you're at home, it's maybe YouTube TV or it's this or it's that. But when you get the proper licenses for it all, you have to go through this vendor and that company, and you get some of it through this and some of it through that. And then to get all of that easy on one iPad, so you can just quickly change and pivot and decide, oh my God, it's still a headache for us now.
Yeah, we still had a good job on that.
Yeah.
Well, you think of that, like on one TV, it's a thing, but then having it on 5 TVs, and what if you want 3 TVs to be showing the same thing, synced to the audio, and then you want 2, someone wants a Razorback game on over here. It's tricky.
That's the thing with streaming. They're always slightly out of sync. You put them next to each other.
Sometimes they're 15 seconds behind, so you reload them, and then it's 15 seconds ahead, and then you're like, let's just...
And we've solved most of this now.
Yeah.
We've come up with a little... Maybe if we put it all through this one box, then it will go throughout the one cable, and then it'll split, and it works. So we've figured it nearly all out, but dang.
the tech and getting what you would think wouldn't be maybe an issue. I think that's always... keep your eyes open and don't just assume that something's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, if anyone's going to open any kind of sports bar venue, open it, plan that 6 months in advance, because I'll tell you that long.
As anyone that's done what we've done, I think can attest to that there's so many tiny things that you would not think need weeks or months of planning or preparation, or just you have to investigate. I mean, that's our TV licenses. Music licensing is totally separate.
Yeah.
But again, going back to the deliberate vibe or the feel of the place, we wanted to have control over how it felt, what we had on the TVs. We weren't going to leave it up to, just a jukebox or something that was there. Again, just very deliberate. I want to go back real quick to just about the people.
Yeah.
One thing that's allowed us to kind of execute the hiring, the personality over experience, not to say that, the mix of our bartenders don't have a range of experiences. We did get lucky. I'm going to give a shout out to our GM, Ryan Ross, and our assistant manager, Ems Robinson. We were able to get them well in advance, and they were able to stabilize operationally things. So then we could hire, and it allowed us a little more freedom to, let's hire this person we really like, that what fits with the culture, that gets it, and then we can upskill them. Yeah. That's been a blessing. And so for me, a lessons learned, or maybe just something that very appreciative of, was it being able to, I feel very lucky that we got those 2 people that work well together, different personalities, but they fit in well. They fit in well with my personality, with Alan's. Ems is very good at keeping even the owners in check. Brian's good at dealing with everyone, any kind of team dynamic and keeping it balanced, and then just operating. He's operated so many bars, so his experience has helped a lot. That allowed us to then focus on making sure, Alan makes sure that the entertainment's right. I make sure that the vibe or the aesthetic stays on point or to the vision. And in this industry, you always have to, there's always so many inputs and things that go on. You have to kind of guard your vision pretty closely. So it's nice when you have someone that has your back, like your staff and partners, so you can keep kind of working and moving forward on those things.
No, that's good. So you both have been residents of Northwest Arkansas for a little over a decade. Approaching a decade.
No, 12
years. Yeah. Okay, so over a decade. Talk a little bit about your experience just as residents, and you talked a little bit about it. I mean, hell, you built a bar because you didn't have a place that you could go to watch the footy, right? So we've got that covered, but talk about the growth of the region as residents, as people that are engaged in the community. And we talk about it all day long about how the club is going to be integrated into the community, very grassroots. right time, right place, and all those things. But, talk to me a little bit about that and the growth and the stage that where we're at. Does it fit? We feel like it does, but does it fit now to bring this type of thing with the global population that we have now? Over 60% of the population base isn't from here, and soccer is the global game. Just talk a little bit about like kind of more NWA, the community, and how we might fit in, how you guys can see that, and exciting to see soccer become a bigger thing.
Yeah, I guess I can start on that one. So I'll be honest, when I first moved it, so I lived in Shanghai right before I moved here, which then was the biggest city in the world in terms of population, to then move to little old Bentonville I'd never heard of in northwest Arkansas, that had just became a wet county. And I thought people were teasing me for about 3 weeks when they kept saying, oh, well, you can drink here now. And like a few months ago, you couldn't. I thought, I didn't realize that was ever a thing. So I wasn't super comfortable when I first moved here, and then it seems very sparse and spread out, and there's no public transport, and a lot of things I was used to. But one thing I quickly realized is, one, it is a lot more diverse and international than it first seems. So I quickly found a group of Brits to start playing football with first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. There is so many community-driven things, whether it's things around the square or it's different events at different locations in terms of just getting people together for whatever it is. Maybe there's an event at the church for a trunk or treat or a Christmas event and all this kind of stuff. So there was lots of things there as kind of a new family that we were, that existed, but you had to go and look for them. What I think has changed, other than just the scale of Bentonville in the last 2 years, is that community has just got so much more in terms of its events and the things that are going on, but it hasn't lost its closeness and what makes it special. I don't think there's anywhere, or if there is, I've never seen it, a place like Bentonville with a community where, of course, it feels safe and secure and it is still diverse, but it feels like one community. They'll come out and support anything, which I guess is the first reason why I think the soccer team's a great idea. And I'm not just talking the Razorbacks, but if there's an event like the Farmers Market first Friday downtown Bentonville, it's full. If there's a Christmas parade going on, it's full. If there is a celebration of something happening somewhere, you can guarantee you go there and it's going to be a bunch of people, some that you know, some that you don't. But I think Bentonville's community is just very supportive. They're very outgoing. I think we've got an obscene amount of restaurants and bars for a place as small as we are, but they all do very well. They're all there because I think the community just likes being out and about amongst itself. They're very family orientated, and I think when you combine that with the big corporations of international travelers that have come here, when you go further south down to like Rogers and Fayetteville, soccer team seems like a no-brainer. It's the most diverse international thing going in terms of sport. It'll combine those that are just curious, those that want to be with a family, and those that are just lunatics about kicking a ball around, and it'll bring them all together the way Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas does. So I love it here. This is home. I guess I could have still chose anywhere. I've chose this as my home from everywhere I've been, and I don't see myself going anywhere. So
yeah, same for me as far as making it home. There was we thought we might have had to move a couple years ago, and I was like, so
sad face. We never would.
Yeah, I was going to support the move. It worked well for my wife's career. I'm like, I'll support that. I really don't want to move. Because we live right behind the school that my kids go to. We've got our all the neighbors are our friends. We've got like what you'd wish for if you were like 40-year-old guy with a family that was settling down. So unfortunately that didn't work, or maybe fortunately, but I was very happy to stay here, and then double down when we started.
Now you're definitely
a lot into this bar. It's nice to have. It's this community's it's awesome. It's home.
We've seen you with some of the events we've done too. Like we did a Harry Potter trivia full. We did a flower arranging workshop thing with Samantha's Garden on Monday, and it was like 15, 20 people there to do that. And we got a comedy night that's going to be sold out Thursday. Like, it seems to be whatever we put on, there is a big enough interested group that will come out and support it, which is awesome.
And that's been great. I love, a lot of the growth is, yes, the people, but it's also the infrastructure, it's the amenities, it's the entertainment, which, unfortunately, fortunately, whatever you want to look at it, some of those things haven't quite kept pace with the people, and also the dynamic of the people that we're bringing, like the global population. Mm-hmm. And so, there's a little bit of an entertainment gap. Like, I love my Razorbacks. I love going to, the football games, the baseball games. We were just on Sunday, the Lady Razorbacks. Shout out to Mr. Colby Hale, winning a share of his SEC championship, fourth one. So, I think I said that correctly. Sorry, Colby, if it's more or less. But just great atmosphere. They had over 3,000 people there. It was I think their fourth top 10 attendance like in the country this year. So it's just, I think it speaks to, people love NWA, but they also love new things to do. Mm-hmm. And this is certainly going to fit that bill. I think that, it's really interesting and cool to see the increasing diversity of the region and people bringing new thought leadership into what the region could be and where it needs to go. And, I think the Botanical kind of, for me, represents part of that. You guys took a bar concept, but you made it your own and made it distinct and made it different. And something that, I know we're friends, but it's something that's really unique and different and cool. And I think that's, again, speaks to people want to come and you're getting great crowds and hopefully that sustains. But at least in the beginning, for sure, it's kind of the new hip thing now. And you guys are getting that buzz and people come and they have a good experience. They're going to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
We really did kind of smash two concepts together, with the sports pub, but then a beautiful botanical themed. And early on, people were like, well, do you know what your business plan is? I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. And they're like, well, you have to kind of pick one. I'm like, you have to trust us.
No, I don't.
In this physical space, in this city, with this population, with international population, with disposable income that have an interest in international sports, and with the vision that we had for, I'm like, this will work. It'll work, and it's not going to be as obtuse as it sounds without seeing it. Yeah. And honestly, there was a lot that it was the week before we opened, people came in and even people close to us are like, oh, we get it now. Yeah. Like we couldn't visualize it. Yeah, obviously no one's going to visualize that.
No, yeah.
But when you're explaining it, you're like, it's a soccer bar that has a lot of plants, and they're like, who are you trying to try?
As soon as you say that, you look at them like, because they think like a Morgans or Hooters or something. I'm like, you can be both. You can be a nice place to hang out that shows sport. You can be. And I mentioned before, the community comes and supports stuff, but there's a high bar in Northwest Arkansas. You can't just pedal out copy and paste crap, because they will just hammer down on that hard and it will not last long. So we also know the standards had to be super high in everything that we did, and that'll be the same, right? People will come out and support that team. They haven't got to win every game, no. But if the owners care and the staff care and the players care and everyone that shows up is like they want it to be the best it can be, then it'll be there forever. And
I think people can see right through that, right? Especially your soccer community. Mm-hmm. And, to a degree, to your point, NWA as a whole, right? And so we very much are aware of that. And so that's going to be kind of mission critical, and a part of everything that we do is being genuine, transparent, and living into what we say. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm really looking forward to those days where, we're having matches to play and atmospheres to create, and there will be times where we need to be held accountable and all those fun things. We're never going to be perfect, nobody is, but I'm so excited to bring what we all know and love and have experienced around the world and other parts of the world to the place that we have chosen to call home, right? And I think that's one of, you can't replace that feeling, right? And I think you guys maybe have felt that with what you've done with the Botanical. This is you're putting a flag in the ground with your family, and how exciting is it to be able to dream of something, think of it, and then see it through. Obviously, it was a long road, longer road than you guys wanted it to be, and lots of hurdles and all those things. But like, how satisfying to see that come to fruition now, and just the success that you guys have had. I mean, we're different journeys, but almost the same in a little bit of the same respects, right?
It's perfect. I think that's like, as a business owner, as an American, I was born in the U.S., American business owner. There's something kind of like, there's like an ideal about if you're going to make a business, especially a physical space, that you want it to be a little, not lofty, but something like, a little better than something to aspire to, or something that represents how you want things to be. Mm-hmm. And like, we want that kind of space, like where it's open for everyone, it's family friendly, it's dog friendly, it's people of all ages, people of any sport, any from wherever they are. Especially it's one of the few places, or maybe not unique in Bentonville, but there's one of the places you go to and you often hear accents all around you. And that's awesome. Like we talked about that early on. Like we wanted a place where, it's just not American people there. There's people all around, and like it represents the America that I love, that I grew up thinking about, that would be inclusive and would have all those things. So it's cool to build that, and in a place like Bentonville is awesome. It's I joke around sometimes that Bentonville's kind of like they like Norman Rockwell paintings of like Americana. Yeah. If he went downtown to any of the squares, he'd be like, come on, guys, that's a little heavy-handed. Like it's because it's purple. Like it is almost too like picturesque. It's like Pleasantville sometimes. Yeah, but it's not superficial. It's not like cheesy. It's just we have these things. There's people that genuinely enjoy them. There's the economy to support having that and having the infrastructure there, and then allows us. You don't have to worry about the crime, so we can build entertainment. We can do those kind of things that allow a family to be there and then use their time, to explore and to have passions and do that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me.
It was fun.
We may have to just fall back to the Botanical for a pint after. But listen, everybody go check out the Botanical at 8th and A. If you have not already, you may bump into me while you're there, or Mr. Allen or Mr. Alex. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, check us out, uslarkansas.com. We're still doing fan voting on stuff. There's a ton of giveaways. Follow us on all social media platforms at USL Arkansas. Follow the podcast at Pitch to Pro, all major platforms. Appreciate you guys so much for joining me again today. And until next time, Northwest Arkansas. Thanks.
Thanks,
thank you.